Hello everyone. I wanted to do a quick update as I have new insight. You've probably heard the expression, will the sun be turned to darkness and the moon to blood? From Joel. And I was thinking about it in terms of blood moons and solar eclipses as warning signs. But with more insight into it, I think the better interpretation is that the sun will be turned into darkness and the moon into blood in the presence of the great and terrible day of Jehovah coming. And this completely changes it from a warning sign to something that happens as a result of it coming. So, most people look at this verse and they think like I do. At least I assume they do, because every single English translation says before. And maybe some people think about it as like before the king, but I think people generally think they're expecting it to happen before instead of as a result of the nukes. But consider, just 5 verses later in Acts, when Acts is quoting Joel, it says, I saw the Lord always before me. So that's in the presence of. That's kind of what tipped me off, that wait a second, maybe before could mean something else. So let's look at similar language. And I beheld when he had opened the 6th seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. That's from Revelation. Now let's expand the context from Joel. And I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. And the sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord come. It's interesting that the King James translates it as come. We'll see how that should be coming in a bit. And if we expand Revelation, on the 6th seal there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. And then people hid themselves in the dens and the caves. So it seems obvious to me that the sun turning dark and the moon turning to blood has to do with the fires that occur in the presence of the day of Jehovah. The fire, the pillars of smoke, the rolling up as a scroll, the earth shaking, men hiding in caves, sound like nuclear war. So this is the moon turning to blood based on Canadian wildfires. So you can imagine nuclear war would produce a similar result. This is the sun black like sackcloth of hair caused by wildfires. So we have solar eclipses and blood moons that could be warnings. We have shown that is a possible interpretation that also works. Maybe it was one of those dual simultaneous fulfillment when both translations are saying the same thing, or looking at it different ways, and they both work. He likes to use language that way. And here's the Strong's that shows that the Hebrew word does mean in the presence of, and that is a valid translation. And the word come should be coming because it's in the infinitive construct. A lot of English translations translate it as the coming of, but in the presence of and coming make more sense than what the traditional King James Bible says. But let's look at further evidence from Joel 2. They enter the windows like a thief. Here's our thief in the night, plain as day. The earth quakes before them, which is in the presence of them. And the heavens tremble, and the sun and moon grow dark, and the stars lose their brightness. So this is also in Joel a little bit earlier. So he said it 2 different ways, both describing the exact same thing. But I noticed it says the heavens tremble. That reminded me of the powers of the heaven will be shaken from Matthew 24:9, which just gives me confirmation that immediately meta, the tribulation of those days, meta is the Greek word, which is normally translated as with. The sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light, and the stars will fall from the sky. Well, it says right here, the stars will lose their brightness and the heaven will be shaken or tremble. So this looks like Matthew 24 is talking about the same thing as Joel 2. And that's all consistent with nuclear war prophecy. So that's a quick update. Next time you hear someone looking for signs of the sun turning dark or the moon turning to blood as happening before, this is not what Joel is talking about as best I can determine. Thank you very much.